Voters in Kentucky can choose from several different voting options for the upcoming election during this pandemic, but not everyone is excited about that.
And Nancy, after the election plan was announced, there was some fallout. LEX18's political reporter Carolina Buchek explains.
We both wanted a successful election.
Together, Kentucky's governor and secretary of state revealed big changes to Kentucky's voting plan, and they made it clear they stand by their decision.
I think that's a good compromise.
Although no excuse absentee ballots are technically off the table, the governor and secretary of state decided to make COVID-19 an accepted excuse. So any registered voter who is worried about the coronavirus can request an absentee ballot and vote by mail. They also expanded early in-person voting to 3 weeks before Election Day, including on Saturdays. And of course, there will also be in-person voting on Election Day itself, and the plan is to have more than one voting location per county this time around. So voters will have options on how they can vote. And Bob Babbage, a political analyst who works on LEX18's election coverage, says this plan will lead to higher voter turnout.
The governor and the secretary of state literally thought of everything that might be a comprehensive vote plan, dramatic really in terms of how we've historically participated. This is very different.
Babbage says this plan is a good one for voters. It gives them more flexibility on when they can vote and how they can vote. But for others, like the campaigns involved in the election, this plan changes things and makes their jobs more complicated. So although they may not be public yet, there are different opinions on the new election plan.
But the positive voices are saying that we should have made it easier to vote all along. And they're commending the governor and the secretary of state for reaching this widespread, sweeping compromise. For others, though, who had planned all year long, this is a major life move to run for office. It's major to help a candidate. For those who had made those plans and laid out specifically how to be successful over the course, particularly of October into November, this really backs them up and changes things.
And since Secretary of State Michael Adams is Kentucky's chief elections officer, the comments will likely be directed towards him.
For Adams, who will likely stand for election again in 2023, there may be some critics of this process, as well as those who praise it.
And it seems Adams is already feeling some of that criticism. Today, he tweeted this, saying, quote, "I've taken immense heat for my decisions on how to make our elections safe and successful. But notice no one is arguing I've made these decisions in my own or anyone else's political interest. Show me the door in 2023, but until then, I'll act on my knowledge and my conscience." And this type of criticism isn't new. Back in April, Adams was criticized by his own political party until he explained the changes to people.
Once we laid out all the protocols we had to ensure a safe and secure election, a lot of objection died off. And ultimately, most Republicans voted absentee in June. I never would have believed that in a million years back in April when I was getting torn up that Republicans would vote absentee, but they did.
In Frankfort, Carolina Buchek, LEX18 News.